Look, I'm going to be honest with you. When the Galactic Council announced they were forming something called a multi-species combat pack to deal with the Vorthan invasion, I thought it was the dumbest idea I'd ever heard. And I've been alive for 300 cycles. I've heard a lot of dumb ideas. My name is Kelter, and I'm what you'd call a tactical analyst for the Council. Basically, I sit in a comfortable chair, watch other beings make terrible decisions, and then write reports about why those decisions were terrible. It's a living. The problem started 6 lunar cycles ago, when the Vorthans decided our corner of the galaxy looked nice and they wanted it. They're these massive, crystallized nightmare creatures that reproduce by converting organic matter into more Vorthans. Delightful, right? The Council's response was to throw together representatives from 47 different species, and tell them to work together. 47 species. Let that sink in. We had the Clinthians with their 4 arms and superiority complex. The Borvac collective, who communicate through scent glands that make everyone nauseous. The Takiri, these tiny bird-like creatures who refuse to acknowledge that anyone taller than 3 feet has valid opinions. And 44 other species, each one absolutely convinced they were the most qualified to lead. The first meeting was held in Station Omega, a neutral territory floating somewhere between 17 different star systems. I was there to observe and take notes. Mostly, I was there to place bets on how quickly this would all fall apart. The conference room was massive, designed to accommodate everything from the 2-story Govnox delegates to the aquatic Melfin, who needed water-filled hoverpods just to participate. The air was thick with translation algorithms working overtime, and the smell. Don't get me started on the smell. Commander Vrel, a Clinthian with more medals than sense, stood at the center platform. We must establish hierarchy, he announced, his 4 arms gesturing dramatically. The pack requires an alpha. Naturally, I volunteer. Naturally, the room erupted. The Takiri started chirping accusations. The Borvacs released what I can only describe as aggressive pheromones. Someone from the methane breather section started arguing in a frequency that made everyone's teeth hurt. This went on for 2 hours. Then the human walked in. Now, I'd heard of humans. Everyone had. They were the new species, the ones who'd only achieved faster than light travel about 50 cycles ago. Babies, in galactic terms. They came from a death world called Earth where everything apparently tried to kill them, including the weather, the animals, and something called rush hour traffic. This particular human was named Marcus Webb. He was average height for his species, maybe 6 feet, with dark hair that looked like it hadn't seen a comb in several days. He wore the standard council utility suit, but he'd somehow made it look casual. And he was carrying a small container. Marcus walked past the arguing delegates, pulled out a chair that was definitely meant for a larger species, sat down, and opened his container. He started eating a sandwich. Not some fancy diplomatic meal. Not even something that looked remotely impressive. Just 2 pieces of bread with some kind of processed meat and vegetation between them. He chewed slowly, completely ignoring the chaos around him. Commander Vrel noticed. Human. This is a military strategic session. We are determining the alpha of our combat pack. Marcus swallowed his bite. Yeah, I can hear that. You've been determining it for about 3 hours now, according to the schedule I was sent. Then you understand the gravity of the situation. Oh, absolutely. Marcus took another bite. Very grave. Much serious. I couldn't tell if he was being sarcastic or not. Apparently, neither could anyone else because the room went quiet. And let me tell you, getting 47 species to shut up simultaneously is basically a miracle. A Takiri named Pip fluttered up to the table. Human Webb, do you not wish to present your credentials? Every species must justify why they should lead. Not really hungry for power, Marcus said, holding up his sandwich. Just hungry for lunch. The Borvac delegate, Thros, released a confused scent. You mock this process? No, no. Marcus set down his sandwich and actually looked serious for a moment. I'm just wondering why you're all arguing about who should be alpha when none of you have asked the important questions. Commander Vrel's 4 arms crossed simultaneously. Such as, what do the Vorthans fear? What's their weakness? How do they coordinate attacks? What's the terrain like in the contested zones? Marcus ticked off each question on his fingers. You know, the stuff that might actually help you win a war. The silence that followed was somehow even more profound than before. A delegate I didn't recognize, something from the outer rings with too many tentacles to count, spoke up. The human raises valid points. Valid points don't establish hierarchy, Vrel snapped. Marcus picked up his sandwich again. You want hierarchy? Fine. Here's what I know about pack dynamics. He took another bite, made everyone wait while he chewed, and then continued. Alphas don't lead because they're the strongest or the loudest. They lead because the pack trusts them to make decisions that keep everyone alive. So maybe instead of arguing about who gets the biggest chair, you should be asking who actually knows what they're doing. And you believe you possess this knowledge. Amelphin, Cascade, bubbled from her water pod. Me? Oh no, I'm just a field specialist. Been in exactly 3 combat situations, and I survived all of them mostly by accident and stubbornness. Marcus wrapped up the remainder of his sandwich. But I've read all the reports on Vorthan tactics. Spent the last week going through every engagement you've had with them. And I've got some thoughts. The room waited. Marcus stood up, walked over to the main display, and started pulling up data. The Vorthans attack in waves, right? Everyone knows that. What you might not have noticed is that they always hit hardest on the 3rd wave. The first 2 are probing strikes. They are learning your defenses. Images flashed across the screen. Battle after battle, all showing the same pattern. They also avoid water. Completely. And they change tactics when faced with pack coordination. Not individual strength, coordination. Marcus looked around the room. So here's a crazy idea. What if instead of arguing about who's the toughest, you actually work together? Use the Melphin for aquatic insertion. Let the Takiri handle aerial reconnaissance. The Clinthians can take point on frontal assault since you love that stuff. The Borvacs can manage biological warfare, the humans can, I don't know, make sandwiches. Whatever. Commander Vrel looked like he wanted to argue, but couldn't find the words. Thros released a thoughtful scent. The human suggests complementary tactics. The human suggests not being idiots, Marcus corrected. Look, you can spend another 6 months arguing about ranks and medals, and who has the most impressive military history. Meanwhile, the Vorthans are converting 3 planets a week into more Vorthans. Or you could actually do something about it. Pip chirped. You speak with much confidence for someone from a species barely old enough to have a military. Marcus shrugged. My planet spent about 10,000 years fighting itself before we figured out space travel. We've got experience with dumb military decisions. Trust me. I was frantically taking notes at this point. This was either going to be a historic moment of unity, or the fastest diplomatic incident in council history. The Govnox delegate, a massive creature named Tormund, spoke in a voice that rattled the walls. I have fought in 60 campaigns. Led armies across 12 systems. And I say the human speaks truth. We have been fools. More voices joined in. Species that had been at each other's throats 5 minutes ago were suddenly nodding in agreement. Commander Vrel looked around, his forearms slowly uncrossing. Very well. Perhaps we have been approaching this incorrectly. But we still require leadership. A single voice for coordination. Hold a vote then, Marcus suggested. Democratic process. Very popular on Earth. Sometimes works. The vote was held electronically, each species submitting their choice simultaneously to prevent political maneuvering. The results came in. All 47 species voted for the same candidate, the human. The one eating a sandwich. Marcus stared at the display showing his name highlighted in 47 different colors and languages. His sandwich dropped onto the table. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. The look on Marcus Webb's face when he saw those results. Priceless. Absolutely priceless. His mouth hung open, his eyes went wide, and for about 15 seconds, the human who'd just lectured 47 species on military tactics looked like someone had told him math was cancelled forever. No, Marcus said, shaking his head. Nope. Not happening. Vote again. Commander Vrel's mandibles clicked in what I'd learned was Clinthian amusement. The vote is final, Human Webb. You have been selected as Alpha of the multispecies combat pack. I was eating lunch. I wasn't even campaigning. Marcus grabbed his sandwich off the table like it might provide answers. This is insane. You don't even know me. Cascade bubbled from her water pod. We know you are the only one who entered this room without ego demanding recognition. We know you studied our enemy while we studied our own importance. These are qualities of leadership. Those are qualities of someone who didn't want to deal with your arguing, Marcus countered. He looked around the room desperately. Commander Vrel, you've got decades of experience. Tormund, you've led armies. Literally anyone else would be better at this. Thros released a scent I'd come to recognize as Borvac respect. Experience without wisdom creates only elaborate failure. You demonstrated wisdom. The pack has chosen. I watched Marcus process this, his sandwich still clutched in one hand like a security blanket. The poor human had walked in expecting to maybe offer some tactical advice and leave. Instead, he'd accidentally talked himself into commanding the largest multispecies military force in council history. This is the worst lunch break ever, Marcus muttered. Pip fluttered closer, tiny wings beating rapidly. Will you accept the responsibility, Human Webb? Or must we resume arguing for another 3 hours? That got him. You could see the exact moment Marcus realized that refusing would send everyone right back to the chaos he'd just escaped. His shoulders sagged in defeat. Fine. Okay. But I'm making some rules. Marcus set his sandwich down with the care of someone saying goodbye to a dear friend. First rule, no more 3-hour arguments. We make decisions quickly, we act on them, we adapt if they don't work. Second rule, everyone actually listens when someone else is talking. I don't care if they are 2 feet tall or communicate through scent, if they have information, we hear it. Third rule, and this is the big one, nobody gets left behind. I don't care what species you are. We all go home, or we don't go at all. The room remained silent, but I noticed something interesting. Every single delegate was paying attention. Not the polite political attention they'd been faking earlier. Real attention. The kind that happens when someone says something that actually matters. Tormund's massive head nodded slowly. These are good rules. Yeah, well, let's see if they work before we celebrate. Marcus moved to the central display, pulling up strategic maps. All right, if I'm doing this, we're doing it right. Kelter, you're still here taking notes, right? I froze. How did he know my name? I'd been sitting quietly in the corner for hours. Ah, yes, Alpha Webb. Don't call me that, it's weird. Just Marcus. He gestured at the screens. You've been analyzing council strategies for years. What's the biggest mistake we keep making against the Vorthans? Everyone turned to look at me. Fantastic. I'd gone from comfortable observer to active participant in about 5 seconds. We treat each battle as isolated, I said, standing up slowly. Every engagement is handled separately. No one's looking at the overall pattern. Marcus snapped his fingers. Exactly. We're being reactive instead of predictive. The Vorthans hit a planet, we scramble to defend it, they move on while we're recovering. We're always 1 step behind. He pulled up a galactic map, showing Vorthan movements over the past 6 cycles. Red markers indicated attacks, spreading across systems like a disease. See this? They are not random. They are circling. Marcus traced a pattern with his finger. They are isolating the core systems by taking everything around them first. Classic siege tactics. My planet did this constantly in our pre-space era. It's effective. Commander Vrel studied the map, and I could see understanding dawning on his face. If they complete the circle. We're trapped, Marcus finished. Can't get supplies, can't get reinforcements, can't retreat. They just wait until we run out of resources and then convert us all into more Vorthans. It's actually a pretty good strategy. How do we counter it? Asked a delegate from the Silicon Collective, a species I'd never heard speak before. Marcus grinned, and it wasn't a friendly expression. It was the grin of someone who'd figured out a really interesting way to break something. We cheat. We stop defending and start attacking. He zoomed in on a system at the edge of Vorthan expansion. This is Alios 9. They took it 4 weeks ago, converted about 60% of the organic matter, and then moved on. Everyone wrote it off as lost. It is lost, Vrel said. Maybe. Or maybe it's an opportunity. Marcus pulled up reconnaissance data. The Vorthans left a minimal force there. They always do. They don't expect anyone to try retaking converted worlds because, honestly, why would you? The planet's basically dead. But here's the thing about dead planets, they make terrible surveillance posts. I started to see where he was going. So did several others, Pip chirped excitedly. You propose using Alios 9 as a staging ground. Better. I propose we take it back, set up operations, and use it as a base to hit 3 other converted worlds simultaneously. We break their circle before they finish it. Force them to split their forces defending what they've already taken instead of expanding forward. The room erupted into discussion, but it was different from before. This wasn't arguing. This was planning. Species were already forming tactical groups, discussing logistics, working out coordination, Thros released an analytical scent. The biological decontamination alone would require extensive Borvac resources. Which we can provide, a Borvac lieutenant added quickly. Aerial reconnaissance of converted territory is highly dangerous, Pip noted. Vorthan air defense converts organic flyers into additional units. Then we use drones, Marcus suggested. Or mechanical scouts. The Tikiri can pilot them remotely, right? Your species has the fastest reaction times in the council. Pip's feathers fluffed with pride. This is accurate. I watched as the plan came together, species contributing their strengths, covering each other's weaknesses. It was everything the council had hoped for when they created this pack. And it was happening because a human had walked in with a sandwich and accidentally shamed everyone into cooperation. Marcus turned to me. Kelter, I'm going to need detailed analysis of Vorthan unit composition on Alios 9. Everything you can find. I can have it ready in 6 hours. Make it 4. We're launching the operation tomorrow. Commander Vrel's forearms stiffened. Tomorrow? Impossible. Proper military planning requires weeks of preparation. Proper military planning is why you've been losing, Marcus shot back, but his tone wasn't harsh. The Vorthans won't expect us to move this fast. Speed is our advantage. We hit hard, we hit fast, we get out before they can respond. That's how you fight an enemy that outnumbers you. Tormund rumbled his approval. The human understands warfare. The human understands desperation, Marcus corrected. My species got very good at fighting when we were outmatched. Mostly because we spent millennia being outmatched by each other. When you're the underdog, you learn to be creative, or you learn to be extinct. The next 4 hours were chaos, but productive chaos. Species coordinated in ways I'd never seen before. The Clinthians worked with the Melfin on assault craft modifications. The Takiri trained with the Silicon Collective on drone operations. The Borvacs synthesized decontamination compounds that wouldn't harm the 17 different biological compositions in our pack. Marcus was everywhere, moving between groups, asking questions, making suggestions, occasionally eating what remained of his sandwich. He approved plans, rejected others, and somehow kept 47 species working toward a single goal. At hour 6, I delivered my analysis. Marcus reviewed it in about 90 seconds, which should have been impossible given how detailed it was. Vorthan forces are concentrated in the northern hemisphere, he noted. Southern landing zone it is. Kelter, you're coming with us. What? No. I'm an analyst, not a soldier. You're the person who knows the most about how Vorthans think. That makes you essential. Marcus clapped me on the shoulder, which was apparently a human gesture of camaraderie. Don't worry, I'll keep you alive. Probably. That's not reassuring. Yeah, I'm still working on the inspiring leader thing. He addressed the room. Everyone, final briefing in 2 hours. Get some rest, check your equipment, and say whatever goodbyes you need to say. Tomorrow, we're going to do something incredibly stupid and hopefully amazing. As the delegates filed out, Commander Vrel approached Marcus. Human Webb, I misjudged you. You can still call me Marcus. Very well, Marcus. I believe you may actually succeed at this. The commander's tone was almost friendly. Try not to get us all killed. No promises. I watched Marcus return to his maps and data, already planning 3 moves ahead. The human who just wanted to eat his lunch had become the alpha of the greatest military pack the Council had ever assembled, and tomorrow, we'd find out if his crazy plan would save the galaxy, or doom us all. I really hoped it was the former. I had reports to write.